Evening, ladies and gentlemen. This reading I'm going to be thinking about Anselm Hollow, who died last week, a little bit while I read this poem. He was my big white sun Ra. This poem is called They. It's going to last 6 minutes if I read it quickly, and about 8 if I go slower. And longer if I'm heckled. It's called They. They come first in hilly districts. They press their beaks to the stairs. They interpolate individuals as subjects. They gather in heaps. They ascend, transforming into a thick triangular curtain. They make hundreds of stops to form a single drop. They wait in a silence that seems almost wild. They wish they had bigger boobs and cocks. They drink their lovers' honey. They snore when they squeak. They cool books. They made humans waterproof. They possess enormous ovaries and a special organ besides called the spermathecaea. They offer each other blowjobs if they will do the hoovering or washing up. They each contain a single lens. They stamp on the stars of the lid. They act superficial around piles. They leave melancholy traces of acid. They contain 3/4 of plain water. They let it be known they use donuts. They fashion in each of their 3 rhombs or lozenges. They eat pizzas with extra chess. They do not obey God. They call poetry this. They go on holiday with the ambassador from Venus. They walk past the gasworks at night carrying their trombones and tubas. They do not love you, but they cannot say why. They shine with the greatest heat around the meridian. They never break. They steal things from the workplace, doors, walls, floors, ceilings. They say, yeah, in regional accents. They are photographed to look Japanese, hair and teeth. They cough dry, hard coughs and strike their chests through the night. They tolerate stutterers, and they do not interrupt. They believe the haiku to be the point at which the poem escapes saying anything. They see 2 cockroaches on the toilet floor in Starbucks and feel unconditional love. They watch the omnipotent and physical organs. They prepare for violent confrontations but can only write poems. They see themselves as aspirin in the back of a car, as if reflected off a lake flight among the milky paths. They have to be provided with a pair of blunt instruments with which to guide the egg. They bite their nails. They smell hubs. They attract drones from all quarters. They are the legitimate members of conditions. They explain their use of line breaks to the Sioux Indians. They are dangerous sailing. They approximate fiberglass. They fear ice. They synthesize subcultures. They move to Vancouver. They live in their heads. They bind and knead their legs in September's first cold weeks. They spend €50 on a hole. They watch it from above. They say, we arrived when you were underwater. They eat donkey and chips. They package existential gesture, making something from nothing as product. They build a zone out of honey to protect the fledgling republic. They communicate through their stockings. They button powder. They die eating apples in the presence of peaches. They invent dubstep and then denounce it. They write at dawn and delete at dusk. They read poems in mud about mud to a collection of muddy poets. They look into the fly's bloodshot eyes. They love airport space. They turn back into the aboriginal bee woman, thoughtless, pleasure-loving, improvident. They drink Ethiopian coffee out of thimbles, lounging. They read the histories of women. They know no bounds. They sing with tensile strain. They ease light up to the bends. They serve electricity to a Leyden jar. They wrap their slashed solar throats in solar coats. They derive their building materials from their own bodies. They love the 7 seas, or was it 8? They give birth to digital watches and wing mirrors. They touch each other's knees and wait to see what happens, just because. They congeal to fall the supremes, to love porridge. They and all the other nunheads that hem in the great cities. They fail to fly between the drops of rain due to overeating. They forget shit. They experiment with legal highs and morality while operating the last train north on the Bakerloo line. They read English in Mallarmé and Baudelaire in English. They love peanut butters. They fuck the grand gesture, which is action painting for monkeys' dreams of baby's snow at the poetry reading. They rhyme supporter, water and torter with daughter. They fly around ATMs and Sri Lankans. They do not bother with Petrarch or Horace. They, having nothing more to say, go into spring. They hate the smell of church. They outsource. They see an ant float without a shadow. They have buttock trouble in trousers. They swoon at beauty. They grow on coral. They stand on ice cubes and pretend to be polar bears. They are autonomous creations whose relation to ordinary life is, at the most, tangential. They attempt to avoid arguments in restaurants. They love ice hockey night in Camberwell. They live in ovens, not exhibits. They disappear into the stem of the locust. They have gone bad. They are not neurotic. They need no drugs. They think of all the things a baby has to do. They see in May every bee flying through the air dragging something. They make rabbit shadows with their fingers on the walls of the onion. They do not miss vinyl. They observe cigarettes, cheese balls, criminals, hobbits. They invent no less than 6 different instruments. This is one. They support and befriend the 4 original recovering alcoholic members of Herman's Hermits. They scotch tape portraits of the Dalai Lama to their foreheads. They carry the antidote to their own imperialistic poison. They lean to the right on 3 legs and then do the same on the other and call it performance poetry. They do all that they can to avoid writing. They are acceptable for lovemaking. They charge £500 for a massage. Their reasons are superficial. They have names like Nye and Iti. They have tall, short or large bodies and sometimes unusual relations to the space around them. They say that their world is peopled by boreholes through metal. They get erections on peonies. They inject cement. They wreck the decimal wrench. They resemble little black spots. They sing "You Smell So Good." They love women's forms. They make pet sounds. They do and then do not see the point of it all. They see coppers and thunderclaps. They hate poetry that has a palpable design. They itch with desire. They never read. They just look at pictures. They are a Negro torch swimming towards the academy. They recover the precariousness of material, the falseness of senses. They write at dusk and delete at dawn. They sit in silence like finches and other human birds, or shine like cutlery. They sit quietly doing nothing and thus put themselves completely outside the universe of sin. They see caterpillars turn into butterflies. They see Marxists turn into line managers. They were Lon Chaney's lover at the end of a long vomit. They take the nails out of William Hague's head. They are more sexualized than the satirist. They disappear between the description of the posture and the cosmic evidence. They write the histories of women. They scribble on eggs. They rest their feet on the cool wall. They see cowboys asleep in the bushes. They see the kitten sniffing the snail. They drag the dead father. They affect inauthenticity. They apply sitars to piles. They listen to 4th-generation recordings of Ezra and Bob and shout, "Dig it!" They pick nits out of each other's eyebrows. They am a man and they like making fists. They allow the work to be appreciated as femage. They, in a little body, bear so true a heart. They never considered themselves as inauthentic space. They find the practice of universal compassion and non-violence far harder and far more attractive than the habit of anger and the fetish of violence. They, the males, are incurably careless and will impudently bestrew the surface of the comb with their droppings. They only desire that the triungulum will live. They feel the blue morning air rushing into the stigmata and the myriad tubes of the tracheal sacs, nourished on space that fill the centre of the body. They steal peach gas. They stub their tongues on cherries. They put the hyphen in hard-on. They have meaning. They're strong as rocks. They do not write like this. They detach their organs and the empty body turns and turns and turns on itself and sinks into the abyss. They seem grace on the lake. They swing their children. They promote anti-art by lolling around half-cut and naked. They find on the pill on the sidewalk and drop it. They are filed under gay and industrial. They hear 17 noises in the testicles of an old giant. They walk over the surface of the duck. They get oval nulls. They get mumps. They want to have babies, babies and more babies. They are here now, and they are not here now, and they are not in between. They know that art is all about the commerce of exchange. They attempt to raise the temperature of a container of water by yelling at it. They test paintings with seating. They self-harm at the thought. They finish their letters with ant questions. They sniff the air with tubers. They refuse to be bees at the be-in. They fear that their thoughts could be counter-revolutionary. They sit toweringly in suchness. They love chairs. They love tables. They think, fuck it. They think, yes. Thank you.